I moved into my dream house in Pine Valley Estates last April, a gorgeous craftsman-style home with a dedicated office for my cybersecurity consulting firm. After 15 years protecting Fortune 500 companies from digital threats and advising federal agencies on network infrastructure, I was finally working from a space that felt like mine. The neighborhood seemed perfect: quiet streets, mature trees, and neighbors who waved but respected boundaries. That illusion lasted exactly 3 weeks, right up until Karen from next door knocked on my door holding a printed spreadsheet. Karen, in her sharp nasally voice, "I've been monitoring the Wi-Fi signals in this neighborhood, and your router is interfering with my internet streaming. I need you to change your channel immediately. I've highlighted the acceptable channels on this document." I stood there, genuinely confused, holding a spreadsheet that someone had apparently spent hours creating about neighborhood Wi-Fi channels. "I'm sorry, what? Wi-Fi signals don't really work that way. Each router operates independently and—" Karen, cutting me off, "I don't need a lecture. I need compliance. I'm the neighborhood Wi-Fi coordinator, a position I created on the HOA board specifically to deal with people like you who think rules don't apply to them." Before I could explain that Wi-Fi coordinator wasn't a real thing, and definitely not something that gave her authority over my private network, she thrust another document at me. "You have 48 hours to comply, or I'm filing a formal complaint with the HOA. I've also documented this interaction for my records." She walked away before I could respond, leaving me standing in my doorway holding 2 pages of the most absurd thing I'd ever seen, and I once watched a hacker try to breach the Pentagon using a library computer. Now, if you're enjoying this story of what happens when Karens mess with the wrong person's Wi-Fi, do me a favor and smash that like button. Subscribe to Karen Eat World for more tales of entitled people getting exactly what they deserve. Trust me, you won't want to miss where this is going. Now, back to Karen's spectacular mistake. I ignored her ridiculous demand, naturally, because I'm not changing my private network settings because someone declared themselves the neighborhood internet police. That's when things got weird. My internet started experiencing strange slowdowns, always during my client video calls. Then I noticed my monthly data usage had tripled despite my habits not changing. Something was wrong. I did what any cybersecurity professional would do. I logged into my router's admin panel and checked the connected devices. That's when I saw it. Someone had connected to my network using the old default password that I'd admittedly been lazy about changing. The device name made me laugh out loud. Karen's iPad. She wasn't just complaining about my Wi-Fi. She was stealing it. I took screenshots, documented everything, then changed my password and watched. Within an hour, Karen was at my door again, this time genuinely angry. Karen, practically vibrating with rage. "You changed your Wi-Fi password. How dare you? I've been using your internet for weeks because mine is too slow for my streaming needs. Your internet is faster, so clearly you should share it. It's only fair. You've been stealing my internet for weeks? And you think I'm the one being unfair?" Karen, as if explaining to a child. "It's not stealing if you weren't using all of it anyway. I calculated your usage patterns, documented on page 7 of my original report if you'd bothered to read it, and determined you waste approximately 60% of your bandwidth capacity. I'm simply claiming what you're too inefficient to use." My jaw dropped. That's literally the definition of stealing. It's actually a crime. I could call the police right now. Karen, laughing dismissively. "Oh, please. Cops don't care about Wi-Fi. What are you going to tell them? Officer, my neighbor used my internet." They'll laugh you out of the station. Now give me the new password, or I'm making your life in this neighborhood absolutely miserable. You have no idea how much power I have on that HOA board. She wasn't wrong about local police probably not caring enough about Wi-Fi theft to prioritize it. But she made one critical mistake. She assumed that's where my connections ended. See, when you spend 15 years in cybersecurity consulting, working with everyone from banks to government agencies, you develop certain relationships. You learn exactly who to call when someone commits a very specific type of crime. "No," I said simply. "You're not getting my password. And if you come onto my property again, I'm documenting it as trespassing." Karen, smiling cruelly. "Fine. I warned you. Tomorrow's the HOA meeting. I'm bringing up your non-compliance with neighborhood Wi-Fi standards, your aggressive behavior toward me, and I'm recommending immediate fines. Hope your little stand was worth it." The next evening, I attended my first HOA meeting. Karen sat at the front table like a queen holding court, manila folders stacked in front of her, each presumably filled with complaints about various neighbors. When my name came up, she launched into a 10-minute presentation complete with PowerPoint slides about how my rogue internet signal was disrupting neighborhood harmony. I let her finish. Then I raised my hand. "I'd like to respond to these accusations by clarifying what actually happened. Karen has been illegally accessing my private network without authorization for approximately 3 weeks. I have documentation, including router logs showing her device connected to my network over 40 times. When I discovered this theft and secured my network, she came to my property and demanded I give her the password, admitting to the theft in the process. I recorded that conversation with my doorbell camera." The room went silent. Karen's face turned an impressive shade of purple. Karen, sputtering, "You can't prove. This is a privacy violation. You can't record me without consent. New York is a one-party consent state for recording conversations on your own property," I replied calmly. "Everything I did was completely legal. Everything you did was not. Unauthorized access to a computer network is a federal crime under the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act." The HOA president, looking deeply uncomfortable, cleared his throat. "Karen, is this true? Did you access his Wi-Fi without permission?" Karen, switching tactics. "It's not a big deal. Everyone shares Wi-Fi." He's being dramatic. "I'm dropping this complaint, okay? Can we move on? Actually," I continued, "I'd like to file a formal complaint against Karen for harassment and for making false accusations in an official HOA meeting. I'd also like the board to know that I've reported this incident to the appropriate authorities." That last part was a bit of a bluff at that moment, but Karen didn't know that. She gathered her folders and stormed out, muttering about how I'd regret this. The HOA president apologized profusely and assured me Karen would be spoken to about abusing her board position. I thought that might be the end of it. I was adorably naive. Over the next month, Karen declared war. She filed noise complaints claiming I was running loud equipment at 3 a.m., completely fabricated. She measured my grass height with a ruler and reported me for violations, even though my lawn service kept it perfectly within HOA standards. She called code enforcement claiming I was running an illegal business from my home, forcing me to produce documentation that my home office was properly zoned and permitted. Every single complaint was dismissed, but each one required hours of my time to fight. That was her strategy: death by 1,000 paper cuts. Make my life so annoying that I'd either move or give her what she wanted. The final straw came when I discovered she'd filed a false police report claiming I'd threatened her. 2 officers showed up at my door, and I had to show them my doorbell camera footage proving I hadn't even seen Karen in 2 weeks, let alone threatened her. The officers were apologetic and clearly annoyed their time had been wasted. That's when I decided Karen needed to learn a lesson about escalation. She wanted to involve authorities over Wi-Fi. Fine. Let me show her what that actually looks like when you're dealing with someone who knows exactly which authorities to call. I spent 3 days compiling a comprehensive report. Every instance of her accessing my network, complete with timestamps, IP addresses, device identifiers, and duration of access. I calculated the approximate value of the bandwidth she'd stolen using industry-standard metrics, coming to just over $3,000 in services rendered without compensation. I included her recorded admission of the theft. I documented her subsequent harassment as evidence of retaliation. Then I sent this package to a friend of mine who works as a special agent with the FBI's Cyber Division. We'd worked together on several cases where I'd been brought in as a consultant. I wasn't asking him to arrest Karen over Wi-Fi. That would be ridiculous. I was filing a formal complaint about unauthorized network access and asking for guidance on how to proceed. 3 weeks later, on a Tuesday morning, I was working in my office when I heard a commotion outside. I looked out my window to see 2 unmarked cars parked in front of Karen's house. 4 people in windbreakers with FBI printed on the back were walking up to her door. I'll admit, I didn't expect them to actually show up. I thought maybe I'd get a case number and someone would send Karen a warning letter. But apparently, when you file a detailed, professionally documented complaint about repeated unauthorized network access, complete with evidence and a clear pattern of behavior, the Cyber Division takes it seriously. Especially when that complaint comes from someone with an active security clearance who does contract work for federal agencies. Especially when the theft occurred on a network that sometimes contains classified materials, because I occasionally review sensitive documents from home. Suddenly, Karen's petty Wi-Fi theft wasn't just a neighborhood dispute anymore. It was potential unauthorized access to a network that interfaces with systems containing national security information. I watched from my window as they spent 6 hours in Karen's house. They carried out her computer, her iPad, the tablet I'd seen her carry during her Wi-Fi coordinator rounds, and several boxes of what looked like documents. Karen stood in her driveway, talking frantically on her phone, gesturing wildly at my house. The lead agent, someone I didn't recognize, walked over to my house and knocked. I answered, playing completely innocent. "Sir, I'm Special Agent Morrison with the FBI. We're conducting an investigation into unauthorized computer access. I understand you filed a complaint about network intrusion?" "Yes, sir. My neighbor was accessing my Wi-Fi without authorization. I documented it and reported it through proper channels. I wasn't sure anything would come of it, honestly." He nodded, consulting his notes. "Your network sometimes contains classified materials related to your consulting work. That's what elevated this case to our immediate attention. Any unauthorized access to a network containing classified information is treated as a potential national security matter. My network could contain such materials, and occasionally did when I was reviewing proposals or documentation. I'd mentioned that in my report as context for why network security was important to me. I hadn't quite realized it would transform Karen's petty theft into a federal investigation. "I understand," I said. "I'm happy to cooperate fully with the investigation. We'll likely need to examine your network equipment to verify the intrusion and document exactly what was accessed. We'll coordinate with you to minimize disruption to your work. In the meantime, if the subject attempts to contact you, please let us know immediately." Over the next week, the neighborhood gossip mill went into overdrive. Karen had been raided by the FBI. Karen was under investigation. Karen might go to prison. The HOA board held an emergency meeting and immediately suspended her from all positions, pending the outcome of the investigation. I maintained perfect innocence, expressing shock and concern to neighbors who asked. "I just filed a complaint about my Wi-Fi," I'd say, shaking my head. "I had no idea it would lead to this." Karen's husband tried to talk to me once, looking exhausted and desperate. "Please," he said, Can you tell them it was a misunderstanding? She didn't mean any harm. She just wanted better internet for her shows. I'm sorry, I replied, genuinely sympathetic to him if not to Karen, but I don't have any control over a federal investigation. I reported a crime, and they're handling it according to their procedures. If Karen had just apologized when I first discovered the theft, we wouldn't be here. The investigation took 3 months. During that time, Karen's house was silent. No more harassment, no more complaints, no more measuring my grass with a ruler. She couldn't even look at me when we happened to be outside at the same time. Finally, one evening, Karen appeared at my door. She looked like she'd aged 5 years. Her hair wasn't perfectly styled. Her clothes looked wrinkled. She held a piece of paper in shaking hands. Karen, barely above a whisper, "You did this. This is your fault." "What happened, Karen?" "They're charging me. Federal charges for unauthorized access to a protected computer system. My lawyer says because your network sometimes contains classified materials, it's treated like I was hacking a government computer. I could face up to 5 years and a $250,000 fine." She thrust the paper at me, a copy of the indictment. I scanned it quickly. "Violation of 18 U.S.C. Section 1030, subsection A, paragraph 2. It read, "Unauthorized access to a protected computer. My lawyer says the prosecutor offered a plea deal. Guilty plea, probation, a $50,000 fine, and I can never use any internet-connected device without supervision for 5 years. 5 years. Do you understand what that means? No smartphone. No laptop. No smart TV. Nothing. I'll lose my job. I run an online boutique. I'll lose everything." I looked at her, this woman who'd spent months making my life hell over Wi-Fi, who'd filed false police reports, who'd weaponized every system she could think of to harass me. This woman who'd looked me in the eye and laughed about stealing from me because she thought she was untouchable. "Karen," I said quietly, "I gave you multiple chances to stop. When I first discovered what you were doing, I just changed my password. You could have walked away. Instead, you came to my house and demanded access to my private network. You admitted to theft and then threatened me. When that didn't work, you spent months trying to destroy my life with false complaints. You filed a false police report. You thought the rules didn't apply to you because you'd never faced real consequences before." Karen, crying now, "It was just Wi-Fi. It was just internet. You're ruining my life over internet." "No, Karen. You ruined your own life by committing a federal crime and then doubling down instead of apologizing. You thought you were untouchable because you're used to dealing with people who'll back down when you bully them. But you picked the wrong person. You didn't steal from your neighbor. You stole from someone with an active security clearance who works with classified systems and who knows exactly how to document digital crimes for federal prosecution." She stared at me, the reality of her situation finally sinking in. Not just the legal consequences, but the complete and total reversal of power. She'd spent months trying to make me miserable using petty neighborhood rules and false complaints. I'd ended her entire life as she knew it using the actual rules, the federal laws she'd never bothered to learn existed. "I'll take the plea deal," she whispered. "I have to. My lawyer says if I go to trial and lose, I could actually serve prison time. At least with the plea, it's probation." "That's probably wise," I agreed. "And Karen, when your probation is over and you're allowed to use the internet again, maybe don't steal from people. Especially don't steal from people and then threaten them. And especially don't do either of those things to someone whose job is literally computer security." Her face crumpled as the full weight of it hit her. 5 years of supervised internet access. A $50,000 fine. A federal conviction on her record. Her online business gone. Her HOA positions gone. Her reputation in the neighborhood completely destroyed. All because she wanted to watch her shows on a faster connection and thought she was too important to face consequences. Karen, one final time, her voice breaking. I just wanted better Wi-Fi. You should have paid for it, I replied, and closed the door. If you loved watching Karen learn that stealing from the wrong person can lead to FBI raids and federal charges, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Here at Karen E World, we bring you the most satisfying stories of entitled people discovering that actions have consequences. Drop a comment telling me what you would have done in this situation, and don't forget to check out our other videos for more epic Karen takedowns. Until next time, remember, sometimes the best revenge is just knowing which authorities to call.